welcome back to Straight from the Drafts. Today is a solo episode where I thought I'd share some of the biggest lessons, takeaways, my new favourite quotes from 2025 that I am really holding on to in 2026. Now, it is no secret, obviously, that I love a cheesy quote. I love little phrases that you can repeat to yourself when you need a pep talk, or those moments where you're listening to a podcast or in a group setting and you're just nodding so aggressively, like, yes, exactly that is what I've been trying to articulate this whole time. And what I love as well is when they're so obvious and yet so completely mind-blowing at the same time. I love like a duh moment, and I'm really hoping that this episode will have at least one of those moments for you, and there's a real golden nugget in here that you can hold on to throughout 2026 as well. So we are starting off strong with some serious gold from Alice Benham, and one of the mantras that she shares in her On It programme, which I was a part of throughout the whole of 2025, and that is bounce back rate over consistency. So just because something falls off doesn't mean that you can't get back on the horse and go again. For example, this podcast. I did 14 episodes last year and then took a few months off recording, but we're bouncing back, and that's what's most important. I'm not beating myself up for that time away from the podcast. I'm just back at it with a new focus. And honestly, also some lessons. I'm being honest with myself about why I fell off the horse, and I'm taking those lessons into this new season to reduce the risk of that going forward. And I know this mantra is something that you could apply to so many areas of life and business, content included. You might be kicking yourself if you don't post for a week, but honestly, what matters is that you start up again. It's that idea of like, if you spilt a little bit of your cup of tea, you're not going to pour the whole mug on the floor. Just because you didn't or can't do something perfectly doesn't mean it isn't worth doing or trying again. My second one, and this is a big one, looking after myself isn't optional anymore. And I know that sounds really silly, but I have been so poorly in the last year, and I've put it down to my niece being in nursery and then catching all of her germs on my days where I was looking after her in the week. But really, I also know that I haven't been looking after myself properly. I can't blame it all on her. And I've been juggling too many things. I've been looking after other people in my life and making sure I was showing up for them, even if that meant not getting enough sleep or then having to work in evenings and weekends to make up the time for work. And don't get me wrong, like, I don't want this to come across like I'm never showing up for the people I love. I am so grateful that I've had the flexibility to do that in the past year, and there's a lot that I really wouldn't change at all. I've been able to show up for friends during really wonderful times in their lives, and I've been able to build such a special bond with my niece. But there was a moment where I kind of realised enough's enough, and that's where I was genuinely thrilled that I had a stress ulcer. Because initially I thought it was tonsillitis, and I was like, here we go again, I'm poorly again. And I was so excited about the fact I didn't have tonsillitis. Oh, it's just stress. Like, that's not normal behaviour. Like, obviously, yes, great, I didn't have tonsillitis. That is good news. But kind of then learning that this ulcer was caused by stress and being genuinely happy about that, I was... it was an interesting moment of everything was kind of put into perspective for me, and I sort of realised that throughout November, where these commitments to other people were a bit quieter and I'd started going back to the gym and just actually taking a bit better care of myself, I wasn't ill, I didn't get sick, and I did still have anti-duties during that time frame, so I know for a fact that I can't pin it all on nursery germs. I do just need to stop trying to do everything. And I suppose another little side quote that I love that sort of relates here is, you can do anything but not everything. So yes, I will be looking after myself more in 2026. The next lesson is one that has stuck with me since last January. So this one's really stuck with me for a long time. And when Rachel of Rachel Emma Waring fame said this at a retreat that we were both on, honestly, I just scribbled it down so fast. I was like, whoa. This is what she said. She said, "We expect being brave to feel good, But it's okay if it feels scary. That doesn't mean you're not brave for doing it. Like, of course, bravery doesn't feel exciting and cool. It feels uncomfortable. That is literally what it is to be brave, being scared and doing it anyway. And it was a real mind-blown moment for me. And I think I've needed to sort of call back to that and remember that a lot recently with the pivot that I'm making in my business right now, because it feels scary and I've procrastinated on it for a long time because it feels scary. I've been sort of going back and forth with myself thinking, well, if I'm not super confident and happy with it, then maybe it's not the right thing. But actually, I'm just scared, and that's okay. And I think this is a really good reminder, because we so often look at other people and assume that they feel really confident and the things that they're doing have come so easy to them. But really, they're probably just being brave. They're shitting themselves and they're doing it anyway. Lesson number 4 that I am holding close this year: if you want to be known for something, you've got to actually do that thing. Become that person. Which I really feel like is a duh moment. Groundbreaking. If you don't ever talk about the topic that you want to be associated with, or if you don't create an offer to deliver the type of work that you want to be doing, obviously you're never going to be known for it. And I can't be known as a great brand to content strategist if I don't have a way for people to work with me in that capacity. If I don't tell people that that is something I do. If I just sat here for the next 12 months having changed my job title on LinkedIn, but actually in reality continuing to take on clients to do the same work that I've been doing for the past 3-4 years as a social media manager, and therefore only ever get reviews that talk about me as a social media manager, people will know me as a social media manager, because quite frankly, I am a social media manager. So if I want to be a brand to content strategist, I've got to be a brand content strategist. I've got to show up and talk about the opinions that I want people to know me to have. I've got to create an offer where clients can work with me as a brand to content strategist so that they can then refer me to their business pals for that service. And this feels like a real duh moment, but you've always got to be a beginner. You've kind of got to say that you are that thing almost before you've done it. Because I keep feeling like, oh, well, I've always done social media management, so how can I have the audacity to call myself this new title? But if I never call myself that title, I'll never be able to call myself that title. And it's just this real sort of penny drop moment, I guess, that I've had. It's not a catchy quote or something that I read on an Instagram post or I've seen as a quote on Pinterest. It was just a real duh moment that I've had. And it gave me it was sort of the final kick up the arse to make this pivot in my business and make these changes, because I was really feeling like, who am I? Like, who the hell am I to do this? And then I realised, well, you didn't used to be a social media manager. You used to work in web analytics. And then one day I started doing social media management. And I guess that was a little bit different because I had been through like a training course and I'd worked with a coach that kind of gave me that confidence to be able to say I am a social media manager because I've done this training. But really what I'm moving into isn't so different, and it's not brain surgery, it's not rocket science, to use all the cliches, and it is in some way what I've worked with clients on for the past few years, particularly I'd say the last 18 months. It's just wrapping it up in a different way and delivering work in a different format. It's moving more towards done with you than done for you, but all of the pieces of the puzzle are there, and I'm sure that 2 years from now, the way that I deliver these services will have changed. They'll be deeper, they'll be really efficient and slick and strong, but you've got to start somewhere. I think I was maybe nervous to say that because I don't want to come across like I'm a beginner again, because I don't think that's true. But I guess I've just got to put all of those worries aside and realise that, yeah, if I want to be a brand content strategist, well, I better start being a brand content strategist, hadn't I? Another way to summarise this, I guess, would be nothing changes if nothing changes. And that could also summarise what I said earlier about looking after myself better this year. If you're burnt out and tired, you need to actually enforce the better boundaries. You need to actually say no. And if you want to make a change in business, then you've actually got to make that change. But how cool that we're in control of that. And if you're in a position to actually change the things that you want to change, even if it maybe feels tricky, if you've got the option, what a privilege. So use it. And my final lesson for this episode that I feel like I have learned over and over in 2025 and in all the years before is you'll never be happy measuring against someone else's version of success. There have been so many times over the last year where I've said that I feel like the luckiest girl in the world. And as I'm recording this right now, I certainly do feel that way right this minute. I'm currently planning my wedding and my honeymoon. I have got friends that I love so hard. And I've got the flexibility to show up for my loved ones, even if I maybe do take that too far sometimes. I've got so many reasons to be thankful. And yet there are still times where I find myself wanting things that I've probably never even thought about until I've seen it with someone else on social media. So whether that is income goals or certain holidays or flying business class, sometimes it's not material things at all, and it's stuff like going to the gym in the middle of the day or taking every Monday off work to just chill. And it really makes me overthink if I'm chasing the right version of success, very much doing air quotes over the right version there. Because I don't even want to go to the gym in the middle of the day because my partner goes in an evening, so we might as well go together. And honestly, if I do go in the middle of the day, I end up faffing either before I go or when I get home. But it is really hard to stay focused on your own goals and your own measures of success in this online world, and also to differentiate what it is that you do actually want versus maybe what you've been made to feel that you should want. And I don't think that's even a conscious thing sometimes. I don't think we're sat here thinking, well, I want that because such a body's got it. I think we genuinely want those things, but maybe that idea has only been put into our head because we've seen it on social media. But yeah, this is something that I've really had to come back to a lot, particularly in the later months of 2025. And it's something that I don't want to lose sight of in 2026 because I really do feel like the luckiest girl in the world. And I think knowing what makes you feel genuinely happy and genuinely successful is so important, because if you don't create that definition for yourself, then how do you know if you're hitting it? And I think it's interesting to note what makes you feel good day to day versus what maybe makes you feel good in the long term, and really trying to balance that as well. So I really just want to encourage you to think about what makes you happy as you're setting your goals and kind of going into this year and trying to figure out what maybe your business looks like for this year, what your routine looks like, and all those things. Just really try as best you can to stay true to what you really actually want. So that is the 5 lessons that I've reflected on that I will be taking with me into this year. I'm sure that there are more, and I'm sure that I will relearn all of these this year, because that always seems to be the way. I do tend to have to learn things a few times over to make it stick. But a quick recap of the key 5 lessons. Number 1, bounce back rate over consistency. Number 2, looking after myself is not optional. Number 3, we expect being brave to feel good, but it's okay if it feels scary. That doesn't mean you're not brave. Number 4, if you want to be known for something, you've got to actually do that thing. And number 5, you'll never be happy measuring against someone else's version of success. And I do like to end with a cheesy quote, but I have dropped a couple of cliche cheesy lines already in this episode, so let's just recap those in lieu of one singular cheesy quote to end today. Number 1, nothing changes if nothing changes. And if you're in control of making that change, what a privilege. Use it. I really hope you have a gorgeous rest of your week. Please do let me know if any of these have particularly resonated with you, if there's any that you are like, yes, I will be absolutely taking that with me throughout this year. Drop me a DM over on Instagram or wherever you follow me. I would really genuinely love to hear from you. But until then, I hope you have a gorgeous rest of your week, and I'll be back in your ears next week with another guest episode. Very exciting. So I will see you there. Bye.